Hello, welcome back. Now let's learn one of the very useful activity inside Azure Data Factory, Get Metadata activity. And it's a very simple and very useful tool. And by using this tool, you could extract the metadata. Metadata means information about your data. So by using these tools, you could extract metadata about a file or a folder or a table. So it's a very useful activity and we always use these tools. So if you are a data engineer, you need to use these tools to extract the information about your files, such as last updated or file size. Similar kind of information you could extract using Get Metadata activity. And you could use this information in the subsequent activity. So if you want to make some decision based on your file size or last modified, you could use the output of Get Metadata activity. So let's see how we could implement or how we could use these tools. Now, if you want to learn and master Azure Data Factory, you could join our paid course. You could find the link in our video description. And this course comes with a 30-day money back guarantee, and you could find 20 hours of on-demand video which cover most of the Azure Data Factory related scenarios. So let's back to ADF. Now I just created one raw container and we just uploaded some data. You could find all this data inside our resource section, and I'm going to use pipeline delete specific file as our pipeline. And I just created dataset, raw dataset that is pointing to our raw folder. Also, I created one more dataset that is pointing to hsat file. So by using parameter, I'm going to specify the file name. That means one of the dataset is pointing to raw container and another one is pointing to hsat file. And if you choose different dataset, the options inside Get Metadata activity also will change. That means depending upon the file type or dataset, the option also will change. So let's go back to pipeline, and you could find this very useful tool inside general category. So you could find this tool inside general category, or you could search for this tool. Now let's drag it, and there is very simple configuration. You could change the metadata name or activity name, and if you want to add additional description, you could add it. Timeout you could specify, retry you could specify, and retry interval you could specify. And also if you want, you could use secure output and secure input. But the important settings you could find under settings, and you need to select the dataset. Let me select the container. Now once you select the container, now you need to specify the field list. If you try to execute, you will get error because at least one metadata you need to select. And you could select multiple metadata. So you could add multiple items, and you could select which kind of metadata you want to extract. So it's a container, and you could extract all the subfolders and files within the containers or folders using childItem. Similarly, you could check whether the file or folder exists using exist. Similarly, you could select the item name, item type, and lastModified. So let me select few. So we just selected 3 items. Now we could execute it because we selected at least one of the items. So if you execute, you will not get any error. And the execution is in progress. And it's completed. Now if you look at the output, you could see all the information. We selected exist. That means the folder is existing. lastModified you could see here. And childItems. So there are multiple files, and you could see the list of files. So these are the output which we received from Get Metadata activity. Now if you want to update, you could add more items, or if you want to make some changes, say instead of lastModified, I could choose itemType. Similarly, I could add more items, and I could execute again. So Get Metadata activity will extract the information about our dataset. And as a data engineer, this is one of the very useful tools inside ADF. Now the execution is completed, and you could see the updated list. Now let me add one more get metadata activity. And this time I'm going to select an individual file. Now we need to specify the file names. Let me specify department.csv. Now once you specify the file name, and if you look at the field list, now you could see some change in the field list. Now we could see more information. So depending upon the kind of data set, this field list also will change. Now if it is a SQL database data set, the field list will be different. So let me select few of the items. And let's connect the output of first get metadata to the get metadata. Now if you want, you could rename it get metadata folder. Similarly, you could rename this also get metadata file. Now you can't add space at the end, but you could add in between. Now let me execute this pipeline. So by using get metadata activity, we could extract the information about our files or folder. And the kind of items that we could extract depends upon the data set. So if you are referring to a container, you could find some list of items. But if you are referring to HSAT file, you could find some other items. Similarly, if you are referring to a table, you will find few other options that we will explain in next lecture. So our execution is completed. Now let's check the output. So for files, you could see we are able to extract size, lastModified, and structure. Even we could add column count. So if you go to settings, you will find we already added column count. So let's see the column count. So you could see we already added column count. So there are 4 columns in this table. And inside structure, you could see we have department ID, department, phone, and email. These are the 4 columns inside our file. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.